Hi guys, welcome to day 14 of the 60-day DAS Trader Challenge. So today is Monday. I usually do pretty well on a Monday. Out of the 3 Mondays I've had so far in the challenge, this is day 14, so almost three weeks of trading days, almost 15 days. Monday's been generally my best day in terms of profit and in terms of number of executions, which have been the lowest. Today I took 35 executions. So divide that by about 3 or 4 means I probably traded about 9 or 10 times or thereabouts, maybe a little bit less. So it wasn't too bad, but I felt I overtraded I was just on the cusp of it being the definition of overtrading, just by a little bit or virtually on that limit of. In terms of P&L, made $276. I traded, in terms of stocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 names. So probably a little bit more than what I'm used to. I would say that anywhere from about four stocks is where I feel comfortable having traded, knowing I put enough of a works day in, but then haven't gone over and beyond by trading 7 or 8 different names, which I kind of did today. Anyway, let's get into it. I've done things a little bit differently from now on, which means I'm probably going to waffle on for a little bit less, and hopefully it'll give you guys a bit of a better idea of why I took certain trades, because what I've done is I've marked everything out on each trade. So going forward, this is what the recap will contain. I'll have my screenshot and I'll tell you exactly where I got in, where my stop loss was, what my target was, information about the trade, and usually I have a bit of a lesson here as well in terms of what I did wrong, what I didn't do well. I didn't include it here, but in the other charts that you'll see today, it's there. So if we go through this first, let me just move this across a little bit so you can continue to look at, see these entries and exits. So I've sorted these by simple order. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so why did I get into this trade? So what's this? This is AMD. Okay, AMD and NVDA are 2 stocks that trade similar. If one is going down, the other one usually follows it because they're in the same sector, which is semiconductors. And I saw NVIDIA dropping, which I traded as well, and that kind of saved my day. But this is also where I got in. Now, I'll go through this one first, simply because it's in alphabetical order. We got in here. Actually, I don't think it was the first trade. I mean, the first trade of the day was CBIO, but we'll get to that second. So we got in here, which is pretty far away from the VWAP, as you can see. The VWAP is at $14.40. I got in at $13.32. Now, it's not far, it's only 8 cents. But because this stock doesn't move that much, I mean, the ATR is, what's AMD? I didn't write it down again because I didn't think I was going to trade AMD today. Let me just quickly find out what the ATR is. Just one sec, guys, bear with me. So it's 77 cents. So not a lot of range, not a lot of daily range you can expect. I mean, not bad. 77 cents is not bad, but it's not ideal. I mean, it's not something, I would want something over $1. Anyway, the point being here is, you can't expect this to kind of drop really quickly because the range isn't that wide on it. So 8 cents may not seem like a lot, and it's not that much, but in the scheme of things, probably could have got a little bit better entry. Now, this stock, I've traded this in the past a couple of times. Going back, when I say in the past, I mean the last 2-3 weeks, which is how long I've been in this new chat room called Vancouver Traders. Really highly highly would recommend you have a look at it. This is the one I haven't been mentioning the name of because I wanted to kind of try it out and see how it's going, give it a bit of a test run before I kind of give it, an up or a down. But definitely 10 out of 10. I mean, this guy, Andrew, phenomenal trader. Andrew is really top bloke, genuine, honest, shows all his trades, all his entries, all his exits. They're clearly marked on his DAS trading platform. Calls out the trades, talks to us in the chat, gives us a really good idea as to where we're going. If you have a chance, go to Vancouver Traders. I'll put it in the link today. I think he's got a 7-day free trial, or maybe it's like $5 or something for 7 days, but really worthwhile. And if you're in there, have a chat, feel free to talk to me or chat to Andrew. He's really helpful in terms of what he does and what his strategy is. So highly recommend you guys checking him out. So therefore, I got in, as I said, a little bit away from the VWAP and covered slightly here because, as I said, I've traded this in the past and it doesn't really kind of shoot to the bottom or shoot to the stars. It's not kind of like an NVIDIA stock, which is kind of got a really nice range on it. Moves in slower bounces, and sometimes it's because it's so strong, it doesn't really drop below the or to the levels you want it to drop to, which means it's difficult to get a good profit on it. So I covered here only after taking whatever it is, 5 or 6 cents, and then I covered the rest here. Now my first target was here, as you can see, the blue line is my daily target, well, my profit target number 1, because you can have 2 or 3 profit targets. This is my first one, and I held a little bit on. So I covered the first part here, I covered the second bit here, and I covered, I think I'm right in saying, yeah, I left a little bit here at the bottom, and then I just covered the top bit here, the last, whatever it was, you can see AMD, I think last 75 shares. So all in all, where's my stop loss? My stop loss, as I said, was 8 cents. So here you have an idea of how I did. My entry was $40.32. My stop loss was at $14.40, so 8 cents above. My profit target was $14.20, as I've mentioned here. And so my risk reward is basically how much I'm aiming to make on the trade divided by how much I can lose on the trade. And this comes out to 1.5. It's basically 12 cents is what I was looking to make. 8 cents is what I could have lost, which is 1.5. It's not bad. You want something over, at least over 2 to make it worth your while. But that's AMD, so it wasn't too bad. It was okay. The second trade we had, let's go through A, R, and C. So A, R, and C is here. So this was a long trade. Now I don't take a lot of long trades at all these days. I usually try to focus on the short side, simply because that's where I'm more successful at. But what I did here is, now this was this had really bad news this morning, because this is one of the companies that produces that kind of really shitty material that kind of, unfortunately, led to the death of, I think, or 68 people in Grenfell, one of those towers in London. So not a great advertisement for the company, that it was their material that kind of caused this, or was one of the major causes for the fire. So this stock was selling off pretty badly in pre-market, and it didn't really drop as far as I thought it would drop. I mean, if this was in free fall, then obviously people would be all over it. But it didn't really crack a lot, and it kind of found support here just under $23. And I could see it kind of bouncing up, above the VWAP, and these are 5-minute candles. So this was closing, but this closed above the VWAP once, then twice, then 3 times. Then it kind of had a bit of a doji hammer, kind of so-called, another bit of a hammer. I thought, as did many other people, look, this is reaching a kind of round number of 24, which is almost getting back to kind of the pre-market highs in a way. It's at least kind of bouncing off on that low. This may be worth having a look at. And I think I'm right in saying that this was also quite low on the RSI scanner, but I don't remember that. So maybe it's something I can include for next time. And as it was breaking $24, I thought I'll take a small position in this and see if we can ride up to $24.50. So these are the pre-market highs here. This is what I was aiming for. I was aiming to get to one of the pre-market highs here, which is also a round number as well, $24.50. So I thought, it's already it's on its way. It's showing some nice strength. Maybe it can squeeze a little bit more of those suckers out of the short positions, and maybe we can get to $24.50. But unfortunately got nowhere near it. It didn't really kick off in any kind of way, shape, or form. My stop loss was just under $24 because I didn't want to have it break down and go towards a VWAP. So once again, my entry was $24.01. My stop loss was $23.95, which is just below the 24 round number. My target, in this case, I just had the one target, which is T1 of $24.50, and the risk reward, so you're looking at making just under 50 cents. Looking to lose potentially up to 6 cents for an 8-to-1 risk reward. So this would have been an awesome risk reward had it worked out. Sadly, it didn't. I think I made something like, I don't even know. I think I lost $6 on it simply because, why did I lose $6 on it? Oh, okay, because what I do is for my hotkeys, they're set to get out of a position at the bid minus a couple of cents. So whatever the bid was, it even deducts 2 cents from that to make sure I get pretty much an instantaneous execution. So that's why I lost $6 on that. So nothing to write home about there at all. CBIO. So this was the low float momentum stock of the day that we found. Now, this in the past has had some good moves. The plan here was that we would get in around about the kind of $4.85 mark. We didn't actually give it 5 minutes because with this low flow momentum stocks, you can, but it's very risky because their moves are so short and swift. You might miss out if you actually wait for a whole 5-minute candle to set up. So we got in here, and I didn't trade this big. I think I traded 250 shares. So there you go, wherever it was, CBIO bought. So 250 and I bought again. So I bought here, I bought 250 shares here at $4.85, and it kind of fell a little bit. Now I was prepared to top up this or add to this trade up until the kind of 20-day moving average, which is this orange line here. If it fell anywhere below that, I'd be getting out. And I didn't get filled here because I kind of missed it. So I got filled here just below the VWAP. Now the VWAP doesn't really make much of a difference. It does play a role, but it doesn't play a big role in these low float momentum stocks, especially when they have news or if they're running. Kind of everything goes out the window. You know, any kind of support and resistance that you have that usually stocks adhere to. Sometimes in this low flow momentum stocks, it just goes out the window. So I added to this position. So I had a position of 500 shares. Had a bit of a nice crack. Now, mind you, I had two profit targets. One is the $5 because it's a round number. And what happens usually is that these stocks tend to get up to $5. They kind of go a little bit over and they slam back down again. That's exactly what happened. Now, when I was in another chat room, a very well-known low float momentum chat room, this is what the moderator was doing. He was basically selling it just as it cracked over a round number, because usually what happens is that people push it back down again really quickly and it just drops below, and then it may not have the momentum to push it back up again. Like in this case, it didn't. So I sold half here at my first profit target, and then I sold the rest, I think, almost break even. So these are the amounts. The risk reward on this was 5, which is good, which is a good risk reward, but it's a risky trade. So you got to be careful with this. So that was CBIO. Then we had MU. MU didn't do a lot. It's just a standard little kind of opening range breakdown stock. Risk reward was 5, but the range again on this was quite small. I didn't make a lot of money on this, but it was a good solid trade. Then NVDA. So NVDA, I traded this. This is once up to here. This is the second time up to here. Actually, so I traded it twice. Now, lessons. Terrible, horrible risk reward. I got uncomfortable when I started adding to my losing position. Dangerous and not a good strategy. So what did I do? So I entered here at $155.01, which is pretty much here. Sorry, what was it? 155.01. Okay, that's a bit strange, because why would that be my target? All right, so I must have messed something up here with this drawing. But anyway, I got in here at $155.01, you know, when you can find it here as well. Then I added to my position here at the 50 SMA, and then I added again here because it was getting out of control and it was getting away from me. Now this is why it's risky. Whenever you're holding a really big position, for me this is a big position because I was holding, what's that, 400 shares short of NVIDIA, which is a lot of buying power, but it's more about buying power. You're basically taking a bit of a risk, because this has got $7.70 ATR. So this can go up $7.70 in a day or drop down, which is huge. So you've got to be careful. Now, because I thought I was on the wrong side of this and I thought I was going to get squeezed out, I kept adding a little bit in order to increase my average. Now, in this case, I got a bit lucky because it did work out, but I've just got to be prepared that if I'm wrong, don't add to the position. Just either ride out the storm, ride out the pain that you've got to go through, or just get out. Because I know this is one of the bad habits I'm beginning to kind of pick up, where I add to my losing position. Anyway, this came good. This was my first previous target. My first profit target was here, which actually makes sense now that I look at it. I remember now what I was trying to do here. It was actually the 50-day moving average. But what I don't understand, and I'm going to have to go back and look at this, is why I got in here so low if this was my first profit target. My first profit target should have been probably the low of day, which is around to be here. Unless I said, like I said, maybe I just drew it incorrectly. But anyway, so this was my profit target down here. I didn't end up writing up the second trade. But overall, you know, really, really horrible risk reward. Simply because I got in so low, it wouldn't have gone that much lower normally. I wouldn't have made that much money. I should have gotten a lot closer to here if I wanted to go short on this. So that was that. And then SGEN, nothing much happened here. I've only got 20 seconds, guys. It was okay. And then this one I lost a fair bit of money on, I think $230 on. You can go back and rewind it and pause it. And in the end, it was good risk reward, but I just didn't execute it properly, and I got scared out because I would have made some good money on it. Anyway, that's me for day 14. I'll see you guys tomorrow, Tuesday.